We're delighted to have Jay as our guest today. Unfortunately, Mark, my usual co-host, Mark Randall, wasn't able to join us for this chat. But it's, we've had Jay on the podcast before. I've done YouTubes for him before, and he's also recording this for his own YouTube broadcast. So it's great to have him on. And maybe, Jay, you can just talk to our audience tell our audience, those who don't know you, a little bit about yourself.
Good morning, first of all, Stephen. Good morning, everybody over here. Glad to be again with you guys. As you know, I appreciate your show and your podcast. For who doesn't know me, I run by the name of Jtrader. I'm a professional trader. I'm a trader at my room, so Small Cap Room and Jtrader Co. I also am mentor official for Bookmap, and I teach order flow. Last year, I was speaker at Trader for Cause 2022, and I teach and mentor traders on stocks, futures, and options.
Okay, brilliant. And for those of you who maybe are watching Jay's YouTube podcast, maybe just a bit about me. So I work as a performance coach and an executive coach with traders and also with people outside of trading. But most of my clients are in the financial markets. They're traders. I'm a former trader myself, so I was an investment bank trader for 25 years almost, working for a number of banks in London in the rates and foreign exchange space. And after that, I moved into becoming a performance coach, working very much on process, holistically, but all aspects of being a trader, what we call the performance aspects, the mental aspects, the behavior aspects, the process aspects, rather than perhaps the technical aspects, but how you bring yourself to those technical aspects as a trader. So, and I've been doing that for about 12, 13 years now. It's something I love doing and I'm passionate about. But anyway, I'm going to hand it back to Jay at this point. Maybe I guess the question is, the theme or the purpose that we agreed on for this talk is how do you achieve high performance in trading? Often people talk about how do you avoid failing, or what is I don't know, a particular avenue that we need to work on. But what often doesn't get talked about is what are some of the key traits of achieving high performance. Now, I noticed you said you teach order flow. I, as a trader, was not an order flow trader. I would have been someone that probably would have been more broadly a mix of macro aligned with momentum breakouts, but also sort of more general views on maybe where reacting to the market, the sentiment, that sort of thing. So there's obviously similarities there.
Yeah.
But in a sense, it kind of, I suppose, frames the idea that there's not one style of trading. There's actually many, many different styles of trading. I think generally when you're starting out, when you're new to the game, going down the path of looking at something that would probably be more simple, more systematic, is probably the foot in the door. That's sort of looking at order flow, certainly for a retail trader. So maybe you could just start by saying, what are some of the traits that you see amongst those new or even traders near to the start of their career that come to you, that work with you, that enables them to achieve success?
So I mentor many traders, as I said, in stock and futures, and I see that when they come to me, the first thing they ask me is not about a winning mindset. It's not about risk management. They want a winning strategy. That's the first thing that traders ask me. The point is, to learn a strategy is not that hard. I mean, you have to learn price action. I'm more oriented into a trading system based on technical analysis. And I'm also building a quant, so working with algorithms. So the first thing I suggest to traders is research the market, look what's over there, and then test yourself, test different strategies and see what, for example, can work for you. You were saying before, Steven, that you were using macros and also technical, so momentum breakout trading. And for me, that's a very good combination. For example, when I trade small caps, I look at the combination of fundamental analysis. So I start looking at filings. I look at the company's dilution, how much cash it has. I look where it's situated. Maybe sometimes they pump such a great news, and maybe there's only 2 employers in a garage, and it's often common in small caps in the NASDAQ. But then I start applying, for timing my entry, more technical analysis and momentum trading. So the first thing I would say is research. And still at my age of trading, after many years, I still research, because I think in order to evolve and to adapt, right, you need to always stay informed and have a clear then strategy. So with the precise rules that, of course, you can improve over time, but you need to start somewhere. And then see how this strategy also adapts to the market. I mean, you know better than me that if I was trading longs 2020, whatever strategy I had, buying the VWAP, looking for gap up days, buying a washout, buying breakouts, bull flags, I mean, whatever I was going to trade, I was going to make money. And just today, I made a tweet and I was sharing how a trader that now works for a famous prop firm that I mentored for him a year, that he was able to bring a small account to a several big 5-figure account. And the trader told me, well, that was 2020. And I said, yes, 2020 was a year that you could trade almost everything, even in small cap land, and it was very easy. Right now, 2023, I would say that the market is very tough. You have to understand really the manipulation, especially by the smart money. And when I talk about smart money, you probably know some good stories about that with your past in this. So you're trying to look maybe for inefficiencies of the market, trying to, we say, understand how they will trap traders. And then, of course, you have to be very, very skilled and knowledgeable in order to make money right now, 2023.
Okay. That's brilliant. And it's interesting you said everyone wants to have a strategy.
Yeah.
It's kind of obvious. I mean, you need a strategy for anything. It's a way of, a strategy is basically the actions that you're going to take that's going to enable you to achieve success. But I guess, when people say, I want a strategy, what do you think they mean?
I mean, the strategy is formed for me by a technique, which could be, for example, scalping the book, the level 2, or it could be simply day trading certain setups, certain chart patterns with, for example, tape reading combination. So that's part of the strategy. Then I would put also inside strategy, it involves also risk management. So knowing, for example, how many are you going to trade or you're going to risk, looking at your profit factor, looking at where you put your stop loss. And then this involves also another part, which is asset allocation. Let's say I have a 100K account. It's not part of my strategy putting 100K, so my whole account in one single trade, and perhaps try to, not even have a risk. So risk the entire 100K. That's, simply stupid. So that's the reason why you have to allocate a percentage of your account. There can be some extreme scenarios where you simply have an A++ setup. You know how much this is going to give you potential risk reward ratio, so you can size up more. And then the part which I think you, in the first podcast we have, actually in the YouTube one, where we speak about psychology, you said some very good points, and I will invite traders to go back and rewatch that. It's the psychology. So, and I want to ask you over here, because the strategy for me is not only technical, but strategy also involves in a market like this, especially in trading 2023, I would say managing also emotion. Do you find this like something that the traders that come to you or the businessmen, financial guys that come to you, they are aware of and they want to work with you on this matter?
Yeah, I suppose partly, but it's a little bit more than emotion, and it's a little bit more than psychology. Um, I find what most people have when you talk about strategy is they see strategy really, or you could say strategy is a theory of how I'm going to win. Okay.
Yeah.
And then what happens, they try to apply that strategy or those strategies, and they find that they struggle to win, even though the strategy is there. And I call this, even if you've got a strategy that works, okay? So imagine I use this graphic, and it's going to be one of the graphics in my book, which introduces a concept called behavioral slippage. And the idea is, if you can imagine you're looking at, say, a P&L graph, and you have a strategy, and you say you back tested that strategy, or you even forward tested that strategy, and you saw the graphic move from bottom left to top right on the graph. In other words, that strategy should generate P&L over time.
Yeah.
But then what happens with pretty much everyone is they're not able to produce that. They're not able to reproduce that. They might have a line which bounces along the bottom and doesn't make much or lose much money. They might have a line that produces a little bit, but not a lot, or it might be negative. Now, that difference between what they could achieve and what they do actually achieve is what I call behavioral slippage. And it's many things. We use psychology as the kind of blanket term, but it's much more than that. It's behavior. It's a failure of process. It's a lack of structure. It may be ill discipline. It could be getting too emotional, but it could be failure to manage risk effectively. It could be failure to apply sizing, to put sizing in there. So it's got both these technical aspects and these, say, the human aspects, the performance aspects. And you mentioned a really good point there. You mentioned about research at the very beginning. That a lot of people don't do their research properly, or they don't understand the market they're in. So they've got a strategy which seems to work if you can apply it. But if you don't really know what's going on behind it, either you don't trust it or you'll get caught out by it. And then you won't back yourself to do it. And you won't trust yourself to do it. And you become too emotional, so you become a victim. So for me, it's people not really coming and saying, I get too emotional. Although I think that could be true of nearly everyone. But it's saying, how can I do this better? And recognizing that is just part of it.
I would say, Stephen, that in order for a lot of the traders that I see to grow, what helped, so really from after looking their results, was first of all, reducing these emotional aspects, this aspect of their human nature, like ego, fear of losing, or like not being able to be disciplined, or sometimes really like going on tilt because they start advanced trading. One day they fail to follow their watch list. One day they simply follow their watch list. So even inconsistency. So I've seen that it takes not only a work technically, but it takes a work in 360% sphere of their trading, which goes from a morning routine or evening routine. It could go to the diet, because, for example, I've seen that certain traders, they do not perform like an athlete. They do not perform good if the night before they ate, for example, heavy, or they ate bad. So, for example, what was happening to me is that if I would eat a lot of carbs, and you know that my market starts over here at 3:30 p.m. So at lunchtime, I would eat a ton of pasta over here. I'm in Italy. So imagine my wife doing the pasta with the tomato and the sauce, and I love it, and the cheese on top. But I eat like 1 or 2 plates of that, and then I go to trading. I will start sleeping after 30 minutes, and then drinking a glass of wine. I mean, that's top notch for the evening or for the weekend. But if I want to perform, I cannot simply behave like that.
No.
I know that I have to, keep my mind in regiment, and also my diet, go to the gym, maybe do some mindfulness, like, probably a little bit of meditation, and putting my blog, keeping my diary, having my watch list, doing my process every day, because for me, it's a process. And that's the only way I can lower, or I would say, try to eliminate all that emotional, I would say, hijack of my trading. And then at the end of the day, what I see that traders don't do often is a proper review of what they did. And for me, the proper review is having a report card. So evaluating all the points that you even said before, was I stubborn? Did I have ego problems? And give yourself maybe a score, because you want to evaluate today how you perform versus yesterday versus 1 month ago, and see if with time you improved or not.
Yeah.
It's something that I call a checklist, but maybe you call it in another name.
Yeah, I mean, it's, what, I'm hearing you sort of say all this, and I'm like, yeah, that is it. That's, you have to create a process, because in a way, the process is what saves you and what allows you to develop something. So, you talk about, these aspects of being human. We do every now and then like to go out and have a big meal with pasta and lots of cheese in it. My mouth was watering when you were telling me that. And we do like to drink a lovely glass of Barolo or whatever you have with it. And, one of my favorite Italian wines, by the way. And, that's human. Why not? What's life about if you can't have those moments and enjoy it? What are you doing this for? And, at the same time, though, you're if you're a footballer, you're not going to go and do that the night before you turn out for Juventus versus AC Milan. That's going to show up in your game straight away. And trading is very similar in a way to sport. It's, it's a cognitive performance activity, but then there's a lot of cognition used in sport. The sort of, looking around, being mentally on top of the game, not getting caught out. And of course, there's a lot of physical side that goes into trading, because you need to be alert. If you sleep badly, if you're sluggish, if you're not, if you're not attentive to things, that's going to affect your game. And I think people don't realize that. So actually, you made a really good point about it is behavioral and it's technical, and the two go hand in hand. They're not separate. If you're sluggish, if you're not on it, your performance technically is going to suffer. So here's a question, because, I get a lot of sort of new young traders come to me asking for coaching. And I always say, look, in the early years, you need to learn the technical side first. There's no point for me, there's not a lot of point in having performance coaching till you've learned the fundamentals, the building blocks of being a trader. And I know I've sent a couple along to you over the years. So go and start with someone like Jay. Someone new comes to you, what do you say to them? What is, how do you make sure that you're giving them the best chance, the best start?
So the first thing, I tell you an example of a trader that came from the States last week over here at the Academy. The first thing is that I had an interview with him. So yes. I want to know about him. The more I know about him, and I think the better I can help him, because it's something like a tailored, like a suit, like a dress. So if somebody comes to me, is, for example, very anxious, he already has like problems in not going to trade all day, maybe has only 1 hour a day, there's certain type of trading maybe more for him. like to keep down his anxiety. So, and I know where I have to go to work more with it. And so the first thing is interview. What are his errors? What is his process? What is his routine? How he does his homework and how he takes the trades. And then I ask him, show me some of your trades and show me some of your results, because after 5-10 trades, you can already understand if the trader has a good timing, if the trader has revenge trading, is stubborn, or he takes good trades, just has fear, or he has maybe he's in the good path and he just need to put more size. Yep. So that's the first thing. And then the first week is I tell him, trade as you would always trade. Of course, you can moderate the size in order that if you make losses, you reduce exponentially your losses, so that I can evaluate more how you trade. And then we establish a process, a plan that goes from looking at his diary. So it's true, like, give me your diary, give me your morning routine, and I can tell you right away what you have to change according to your personality and according also to what you want to achieve to perform better. And then we make a plan. So you have to learn how to make a watch list every morning. And the watch list come from analyzing the market. So technical analysis, learning price action, learning support, resistance, how the market works. So really the dynamics. You want to know why that fake breakout happened over there on ES, for example, because this was a major liquidity pull from maybe some smart money that want to trap the longs, or vice versa. And then working on execution, because I see many times that a trader knows perfectly all the manual. So I have to long over here, I have to put my stop over here, but still for weeks and months, he's not able to be that precise. Maybe he missed the trades, he's fearful, or maybe he entered the trades with, I would say, too late, and he has maybe FOMO, he chases. And what I see is that it takes a lot of practice, and also he has to build some conviction, some confidence, and this comes only through time. I can show you, for example, a beautiful soccer game, AC Milan over here playing against Manchester United, and I tell you that's the way I want to play. But when I go on, I would say, on the field and try to emulate that soccer player, I cannot simply have his same skills if I don't first practice, train, have a coach for months, years, over and over, besides the talent that one can have or not have. So it's a long process. And I think that traders need to put this in mind. It's not, the get rich easy, get rich fast. For some people can happen, but 90% of the time it takes time. And it's a continuous work day, every day, every day, every day. I think it's just like this, Stephen, about it.
It's interesting you say that, because a story just struck me. So, and we're going to go back to football now.
Okay.
I'm also going to bring in haircuts here. But as you can see, even though I haven't got much, I still have a haircut. I haven't got a wonderful head of hair like you have, Jay. Okay, right. But I was having a haircut last night in a local hairdresser's, and the individual cutting my hair actually used to be a junior footballer for Benfica. So if people don't know that, if they're listening in the States, Benfica is one of the top European clubs, a Portuguese club.
Portuguese club.
Yeah, and we're known for producing outstanding footballers over many decades. And this individual, he was a youth player at Benfica, but he never made it to become a sort of well-known footballer. But he said he could have done, in his opinion, but he made a mistake. He said he had a couple of years at their academy, and they had a development plan for him. And that development plan, in their opinion, was around about 5 years. Okay. So at that point, he's 16. He's been there 2 years, and they're telling him, "You've got another 3 years here. We want to develop you. We want to slowly introduce you to football. We want to train you up. We want to work on your game." And he said, didn't want that. He wanted to go out and play football straight away. He was 16. Okay. And a club in, I think it was in Hungary, he was Hungarian, came in for him and said, we'd love you to come and play for us. And he said, that was the big mistake. And he said, when he looks back on his career, what could have been, he never had the patience at a young age to wait around to do the development. And I tell many people this. I mean, everyone wants to be a millionaire by the end of their first year trading. Okay. I tell people that it's possible, but it's really unlikely. It's so unlikely. You know, you might as well go and just stick all your money in a casino in Vegas and take a flyer. You know, and you might win. Okay. But you need to develop a process. You know, some of the best traders I know didn't really get profitable for 3, 4, 5 years. You know, they ticked along, they had talent, but they just kept working at it. They had another income. It's another thing for me that's really important. You either have to have some sort of income or, some other way to provide, sort of allow you to develop that talent, or have a wife who's got a good income, or a husband who's got a good income, a partner that can enable you to develop your trading skills. Or just have a lot of not many people have that, but some sort of family money behind them. But it's this bit, it's this, and this is where I think what you're doing is brilliant, Jay, because everyone thinks they can do it on their own as well. That they don't need instruction, that they can do it from a YouTube video or a book. And the point about trading is you can, and there's a lot of people that do become very successful and very wealthy from it. And anything that can enable you to do that, by definition, means you need to be really skilled at it. And if you're not willing to have mentors, do training, do development, you're not going to develop those skills to become elite, which is what you need.
Exactly. It's just like a soccer player that he has a coach, every team has a coach. So if they have a coach, or you go to university and you have a teacher, professor, the same way you have to take trading. So you have to take it seriously. And the point for you of you saying that you should have an extra income, maybe, somebody that pays your rentals, or maybe your wife or your husband works, or maybe the parents help you. For me, is something very important, because when there are traders that they get in the room and maybe they have a small amount of cash and they depend on that cash. So maybe they don't have another income. So they put so much amount of stress, and they have to fast and speed up so much their learning process, because they want to get right away, I don't say millionaire, but at least some successful that they can have an income and pay the rent, pay the food, pay the car. That is not going to work, I would say, for a lot of traders. Some traders can, I would say, sustain, and they can cope really with the stress, with that expectation, with that anxiety that is in your head and tells you, hey, I need to make money in about 6 months from now. Otherwise, I'm done. I need to go to find a work. And not a lot of people can manage their stress. Not a lot of people can trade having that idea in their mind. I see a lot of traders instead, they perform much better when they're more relaxed. So when they have an income, and when they have somebody that helps him. For example, I have a trader, his wife has a good job, and he took 1 year to say, I want to learn in 1 year how to trade, not to bleed money. And he's actually making a lot of improvements much faster than somebody that gets in the room, wants right away to become successful because he has 3 or 6 months to prove to everybody, to himself, to his family, to his father, that he can make actually money. Well, it's very hard. I mean, I cannot trade with stress. I had enough stress in my life, and I know what it means to cope with, trading this and it's not working for you, failing, because I did fail more than once, and then I restarted, but I always had in mind that it took me time to reach where I wanted to reach. So if you have in mind that I have to do this in 3 months, 6 months, you're gonna blow up, and you're gonna really, I would say, your mind is gonna have probably anxiety over anxiety over anxiety, or will come maybe later.
Yeah, yeah. But then again, there are people that, not that they don't back it, they don't back that trend, but there are people that come through it that do the learning, and there are some that, that get lucky, and then it allows them to learn, and then they learn properly. They will normally have a failure. I haven't met a trader yet who hasn't at least had some sort of failure, especially in the early years. And I think your best, there's a phrase, fail fast and fail early. Have you heard that one?
Yeah.
Because that's going to teach you more than you'll ever learn from as many books and as many mentors as you could have. That failure will teach you everything. Exactly. But then you need to learn how to succeed. And that's why I really wanted to talk to you on this theme. Not what does it take to fail, but what is it, or not fail, but what does it take to succeed? So what are some of the other characteristics that you see?
I would say the first thing is, so we said being patient, having a strategy, so building a strategy, working on your timing, so on your execution, because it's very important. Especially I day trade, so I'm not really swing trading. Execution in something like Tesla this morning, the open or Meta or Yes or NQ, we're talking about seconds that you can give back much of your profits, or you can be really down if you don't take the correct exit, for example. So execution. And then the risk management. So a lot of traders are trading only, oh, that's a setup, let me trade it. No, calculate how much you're risking. Calculate also is very important for me, your possible target. So having always entry, risk, and reward, entry, stop, loss, and target. And then what I would say is track your strategy. So this is an important key, because a strategy changes the way it works with the market during the years. I mean, what was working Tesla before the last 2 reverse splits, the setups are a little bit different comparing to now. What was working 2020, a bullish market, is not really working in 2022 or starting 2023. So you are, for example, trading dip on the VWAP buying long. Well, 2023, I just back tested the strategy on certain stocks, and you are completely having a 20% win rate with not even one profit factor of income. So it's not going to work unless you shift it for the short side. And then another point for me is accept to lose. So accept that you will have losses. I built with a partner, I would say, a series of almost 100 algorithms that they perform in the markets. And it's a quant. Well, the profit curve is great. It's giving returns like double digits every year, but it's not giving me 90% win rate. You don't need that. So this gives me, some of these give me 50%, 60%, 40% win rate, but it's highly profitable. So when a trader trades, don't think about you have to win every single time. Accept to lose, but try to keep those losses in control, because I see that the majority of traders, they blow up on one big or couple of big red days. So another part of it here of how to become that consistent in trading, how to be winning in trading, is really mastering your trade, mastering your loss, accepting that we're wrong. So don't put your ego, because it won't bring you anywhere.
Yeah. And, that is, I think that's really hard for most people. And, we had, if we go back 2 podcast episodes, we had an amazing guest called Todd Simkin from Susquehanna, which is one of the leading proprietary trading firms in the world. And he's spent many years developing traders there, bringing in prestigious talent, from the best universities. And he said in that podcast, he said, the biggest challenge for them is these people have been right all their life. You know, they've gone through school, they've been right. They've been on the school football team. They got to the, you know, they achieved in sport. They went to the best colleges. They went to the best business schools, and then they've landed a job at one of the best trading firms in the world. So everything has been on this beautiful, smooth upward path. And he said the big problem is that they suddenly come into a world where they go, hold on a minute, that wasn't supposed to happen. There is no formula for trading. There is no formula for the markets. There is so much uncertainty. And then suddenly they're wrong, and they're wrong often. And he said a lot of them can't hack it. He didn't quite use those words, but he said it's a big challenge trying to get them to come to this acceptance that being wrong is okay, losing is okay, you know. And in fact, you know, my own trading style, when I go back many years, you know, I reckon I was 80% of the time I was wrong. If I was trading this year, I reckon it would have been about 95% of the time I was wrong. Whereas last year, I know that I still have some shadow trading books that have a small P&L I play with in them. Last year, nearly every single trade was right. That was really rare. But I reckon on average, 80% of the time I would lose money. But the important thing was that I can only do that by accepting that it's okay to lose. And that as long as you keep your losses small, number one, and as long as you have a strategy that allows you to run the profits and stay with running those profits. In other words, you know, if you have I don't know, let's say a 25% win rate, but your average win to loss size is 5-1, you're winning money.
Mm-hmm.
You know, your average profit to loss is 5. But that is really hard for people to get used to. They're just not used to that sort of mentality. And that's really developing that skill as a risk taker, that ability to understand that, hey, we're going to take trades. We have to take trades because we can't win at this if we don't. And they're not always going to work out. And that is okay. And that is really hard for people. So, I mean, how do you, you know, like you say, that's what you need to do to succeed. How do you try and get that into people's head?
I tell you this. Yesterday, I was talking with a trader. So I like to bring this example because are really from the life that I'm having, the talk that I'm having with traders. And this trader had a bad day yesterday. And I told him, okay, where's your report? Because I follow him every day. So every day he has to send me his report, review, annotation, what he did bad. It's just like a feedback. And he said, no, I closed down. I was mad, pissed by myself. And I simply went to do something else. I went to hit the gym, and he didn't, you know, do all his homework. And I said, let's say 100% successful traders are not behaving like that. I mean, they're there doing their homework in the good days and in the bad days. And those bad days will make the difference, because if you don't learn from what you did bad yesterday and you put that into your, let's say, folder, you screenshotted that, maybe you retrade it, you mentally rehearse it, then you cannot really improve. So it's not about, you know, I took a big loss, I don't want to talk anymore, I move on. No, you have to move on, but first you have to study and try to understand what you did wrong. It's like, I remember I was doing Taekwondo when I was very small, and there was this kick. It was called Torachagi, and it's a reverse kick, and I couldn't do it like jumping.
Right.
And or this other one is called Fetchu in Taekwondo. And I remember that I was trying, and one day I said, oh, I just want to give up. I'm never going to do that, and I don't care. And I had this master. His name is Mr. Chongwon. So he's now I think the first in the world. He's from South Korea. That he said, no, you come over here 10 minutes every day before everybody else, and you leave 10 minutes after everybody else. And for those 10 minutes and 10 minutes, you're going to perform in front of me only that kick. Right. Well, the point is that I failed, and I started to do good. And then I failed, and I started to do good. At a certain point, it became one of my strengths. So when I was doing the forms after, I was like, doing the training with a partner, that became one of my, my good kicks. And I was really proud because if I didn't do that extra work, if I didn't do that extra, run the extra mile, I would never have improved. And so this trader, if he doesn't put in his mind that in order to succeed is going to be tough and he has to put that extra work, that extra effort, and not give up like that, you're never going to make it. So that is the best way, in my opinion, to become successful. You want to have it is not enough. You have to do that work, that extra work that the top 100 traders will do.
Yeah. It's, it's, I was listening to a brilliant podcast yesterday, the Knowledge Project one. Did you ever listen to the Knowledge Project?
No.
Okay, so they had Gio Violante on, who's a brilliant. He's a brilliant performance coach. Works with traders, works with people in sport, leading people in sport, and he worked with the legend that is Steve Cohen, and he said that Steve Cohen, he took off 4 days in 10 years. And those 4 days was because he was in hospital. Now, he said Steve Cohen didn't need the money. He's got more than enough money you could possibly imagine. He does it because he's so dedicated to winning, so dedicated to doing this in the best. He's so passionate about what he does, and he wants to do it, and he wants to do it in the best way. For him, it's harder to take a day off than be there. And that's what you need, I think. You need to develop that desire to win. So many people that I meet have that desire to win. And it's something you've got to ask yourself, do I want to do that? If I want to trade, if I want to be a success at trade, I need that desire. I need that passion. It's the same in sport. It's the same in anything.
Sure. You need a drive, 100%.
Yeah.
If you don't have that drive, you cannot have that, I would say, strength, that intensity to be committed. And only when you are so committed, then you can really achieve your goals. And nobody will help you, or at least maybe a friend, but you have to do this yourself. You have to find that inner strength that will motivate you. So when you want something, I remember when I was young, I was waking up to do 2 things in my life. 1, go to train in the gym. 2, learn to trade. And I was just like eating all this. I was eating books of trading. I was eating the weights because I wanted those things so much. And that was my life. All the rest was secondary. So I eliminate all the distractions. And this is another part of when you want to become successful, how to evolve as a trader, or how to become that successful trader. Eliminate distraction. Of course, you have a family, maybe you have kids, you have parents, you have a relationship, you have maybe mortgage, but your mind has to be focusing in smart work. So it doesn't mean like working and studying 15 hours a day for trading, but do it smart. You have to work smart. You have to study smart. So those 2-3 hours that you dedicate to trading, make it work for 6 hours. Make it work.
Yeah.
You know how to use the time.
There's another story which I just want to share with you, and I've written. This is a good chance for me to plug my up and coming book, Mastering the Mental Game of Trading, which comes out in January, by the way. There's a story I tell in there, which is I've actually lifted it from the Chat with Traders podcast, and it was a brilliant episode where they had Tom Dante on the podcast, and he was telling a story that when he worked in a prop firm, but the whole prop firm, one day they just had a great day. It was one of those days in the market where everyone made a lot of money, and afterwards they all went out for a quick drink for an hour or so after work, have a little bit of a celebration, a couple of beers, and a few stayed on a bit longer. Now he left about 7-8 o'clock. went to his home, got home, and he realised he left his key in the office. It wasn't on him. So he went back to the office. This is about 9 o'clock at night. And there was a light on in the corner. It was all dark except for one corner on the far side. There was one individual there doing something. And this guy was the most successful trader at the firm. And he'd made more money that day than everyone else in the firm by a large degree. He made several $100,000 sterling trading. And he thought, why are you here? And he went over to him and he said, hi, what are you doing? And he said, well, I'm just reviewing my day. I'm going through everything, what I did well, what I could have done better, what happened in the market, what I learned from this. And he said, at that point, that's why I realized why this guy was the best trader. When everyone else was out, he said, if that was me, I'd have been out just doing the champagne and having this most amazing night. But this guy was in the office reviewing his day. And that's what the best people do.
Exactly.
And you talked about that reviewing earlier on, the importance of it.
Yeah. And you have to do this every day, not, for 1 week, 1 month, when you feel good, every single day, because this trader, like the trader you're talking, he's doing this every single day, and it's part of his life. So it's that we go back by the structure process, which everything we spoke about is part of the structure process. Without that, you don't have like a guide. So I firmly believe in that to become a good trader. Yeah.
So is there anything else? I mean, we're here. We've mentioned quite a few things that are really important to achieve success. Is there anything else that is coming up for you that we haven't sort of discussed or explored?
I think the last point I would say, when we say review the work we did, review the trading, means like also journaling. And journaling not only the part of the technicals. So we traded, let's say, some gaps, we shorted rejections. So not only this, to see where our performance comes from, but also understanding and evaluating also ourselves. So like we said before, having a report card of how we perform mentally, if we were well-being that day, how was our mental state? So evaluating also ourselves, because that's a very good, important key in order to evaluate your entire process for the day. And I would say that, Stephen, we covered so many good points today. I don't have anything more to add. How about you?
Well, I think again, you've nailed it there. I mean, be a student of yourself. Be a student of the markets, be a student of yourself, be a student of the process. Make those three things part of it. Also check your environment. As we said, part of your environment is having the resources to be able to keep doing this. That is an environmental factor. If you end up that you don't have an income that can allow you to go through the learning process, then you won't be successful. And that for me is an environmental factor. Okay. As is, like you said, if someone's got another job and they want to spend an hour a day, they have to find a style and an approach that can work in that way. You've got a lot of traders that, like you say, they're in front of the screen the whole time. So it's it's almost become a student of yourself means also look at these elements. Look at how you cope with uncertainty, how you cope with setbacks. Accept that you're going to fail often.
Many times.
And you're going to feel really bad when it happens. That doesn't make you a failure. That makes you human. So it's kind of learning that, you are human.
And that really helps when you have somebody to talk about it, to share, like a trading community. And for me, that's very important, because you build like a team. So you share like win and losses, emotions. And you just have to think that when you are a trader, you're an athlete. So you're part of a soccer or a football team. You have your coach, you have your team players, teammates, and you work all together. So that part for of becoming a better trader, evolving.
Yeah, yeah. Well, listen, Jay, I mean, it's been great. I think we've covered quite a few areas. Um, just again, sort of finishing this off for my audience, where can people find out more about you? I'm sure there's going to be people listening that would say, I'd like a little bit of Jay, if you pardon the expression. I'd like to explore how I can work with Jtrader. So what is where can they find out more about you?
So you can follow traders on Twitter at JTraderCo, or simply visit the website jtrader.co. And we're going to make
the letter J, not a word. It's the letter J, Trader.
Exactly, jtrader.co. We have also a trading academy over here in Italy, and April and May we're going to be for 2 months in the States and having 2 seminars over there with brokers and also our partners. And also, I need to ask you the same thing, Stephen, where people can find you and what is your website?
Okay, so my website is alpha-mind.net. I have another website called Alpha R Cube, the letter R.com. So there's some information about me as a coach on there, but that's all going to be changing soon. I'm on Twitter, at AlphaMind101. You can find me on LinkedIn. I'm going to be doing a lot of promotion and plugging over the next couple of months anyway. So about my new book.
I'm going to buy it, by the way. I'm going to get one.
Okay, so it's on Amazon already for pre-order. I spent all of last year working it, all of the year before planning it, and 4 decades worth of time in markets as a trader, as a coach, sort of just bringing everything together to go into that.
I must read. I will really take it. I have to write in the description the name, so I'm sure to find the right one.
Okay, and I'll make sure I put all the details about how to find you. Where about in the US, just for people listening, are you going to be?
In New York from the 1st to the 3rd of April. And we're also going to go to the NICE, New York Stock Exchange. And then in Denver, first week of May for 3 days seminar course also be there.
Okay, fantastic. So if you send me that, I'll put that in the show notes so that people can find out about that.
Thank you very much.
Jay, it's been great catching up with you.
Same over here, Stephen. Really great to have you always. And you're an amazing person. And I always look up to you, and I read all your morning tweets because, like me, you're in Europe. So when I wake up and I do my meditation, I go to the gym, I then read all the tweets, and I always have Alpha Mind, and it's my 10 o'clock. So that's going to be like 4 o'clock New York time. And I always read everything you say in the morning because it's something always wise. So very good job, buddy.
Wonderful. Well, listen, have a great weekend. Thank you for being a brilliant guest as always. And I'm sure we'll do another one again in the future.
Thank you very much. Have a good guy. Have a good day.
Bye.